Good evening, everyone. Now it is time for the most awaited open box session presented by i.Fest 2022, presented by AECC Study Abroad Consultant in collaboration with DCEI. Please welcome with a huge round of applause the Sandeep Jain. Along with him, Along with him, we have our very notable alumni, Mr. Jinesh Shah, who is going to host this session. Without wasting much time, I would like to hand over the mic to Jinesh Shah, sir, so that he can begin with the session.
Hey, hi. Hi. I already can see the energy is too high in the room. It's probably because we have the legend here, Sandeep sir. I don't think I don't think anyone here wouldn't know Geeks for Geeks, or else we wouldn't have gotten this standing ovation in the entry itself, right? Yeah. So first I'll introduce myself a little bit, then I'll let Sandeep sir introduce him, and then we can get started. So I am Jinesh. I am a 2018 pass out from DA-IICT. About 5 years back, I was a student just like you, sitting somewhere in one of these lecture rooms. I currently work at Google. I'm a SW3 at Google. The reason when I was asked to do this session and I said yes immediately is I myself, just like you guys, I'm a huge fan of Geeks for Geeks, and every time I change jobs, that's my first tool set. So yeah, without further ado, I'll let Sandeep sir introduce himself, though you guys already know him pretty well. Yeah.
Thanks, Jinesh, for having me here, and thanks you guys for having me here. So I'll introduce myself. I'll take a longer time than Jinesh. Uh, Guys, like every other engineering student, I started my journey with IIT preparation. And why did I go for IIT preparation? Because the school topper was going for it, and because, and why did this school topper was going for it? Because his cousin did IIT preparation and got a very high salary. So that's how I decided to go for IIT preparation. And I prepared for 2 years after 12th. In our times, there was no limit. And then I prepared in my BTech first year also. And I ended up in engineering college where there was 0% placement. And this college was whatever you call it, tier 3, tier 4. We had no placement. And once I finished engineering from there, there was only one company that visited our campus, and this company was a BPO. BPOs were very popular during that time, and this company said, we'll hire only 2 people, and for that, we'll select those 2 people, we'll give them a paid training, and then we'll take their exam, and if they qualify the exam, then we'll offer the job. So that's how our placement was. And after finishing my BTech, I went to Delhi and started applying everywhere for any job because the top priority was to get any job. And I applied almost everywhere. I applied for BPOs again. And somehow in my life, I figured out that I want to be a teacher. So I used to apply to a lot of teaching jobs. And I got my first job in an engineering college in Alwar. I taught there for 1 year. And after teaching there, I decided that if I want to grow in teaching, I have to go for higher studies. So I did MTech from IIT Roorkee. And from IIT Roorkee, I was placed in T-Shaw and Company. And when companies started visiting our campus with those high salaries, I forgot about my passion of teaching and just started applying every other company. I just appeared in the interview of D-Shaw and got selected. I did not know what this company does and did not know what my role is going to be. I just looked at the salary and that's the thing that I'm going to be a software developer. I joined D-Shaw and Company in 2009, worked there for 2.5 years. But to fulfill my passion of teaching, I started Geeks for Geeks as a blog as a weekend activity with my D-Show job. And since there was nothing like this before, it automatically picked up without any promotion. I did not even used to use my name because I was like worried. I'm working in a software company. What these people would think like, what my manager would think like that this guy is more busy in his own work. So I did not even use my name, did not do any marketing. Google just started ranking us and the traffic started growing. And one thing that I did, I remember, was I used to post the links of Geeks for Geeks on certain forums. Even if those forums did not allow to put www or URLs, I used to remove www sometimes, used to remove dot, and used to post our links because I was doing a lot of hard work to publish the content and I wanted people to see it. So that's the only marketing I did. And after working with D Show for 2.5 years, Geek Stories grew a lot, although there was no revenue. So I decided to leave that D-Show job and joined an engineering college as a faculty and worked there for 5.5 years. And in those 5.5 years, the content on Geek Stories grew a lot. And then I started doing Geek Stories full time. So from 2015, I've been doing Geek Stories full time. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a remarkable journey to hear about. So one thing, the first thing that comes to my mind is how, like, there are a lot of things we want to talk today, but the first thing I would like to talk with you is how and when did you decide, like, okay, this is the time for me to move on from my DE Shaw and Company's job to go back to teaching? Like, what were factors? Were it internal factors? Was there an external factor, or was yeah? So why I'm asking this is there are a lot of students here as well who might end up getting a high placement job. And when do you think, like, to go towards your passion versus when continue a job?
So in my case, what happened was, while I was working in D and company, 6 months were very good. जब 6 महीने कंपनी में जॉब किया तो बहुत मजा आता था, बहुत पार्टीज होते थे, बहुत सैलरी बहुत ज्यादा थी. I used to give a lot of gifts to my relatives, my family members. But after 6 months, I started feeling, yeah, this is not my kind of job. And I started applying to engineering colleges after 6 months of joining DE. But the kind of offers I was getting from those colleges were not of the same salary or similar salary. They were very low salary. So I was like not able to take that decision. And then there came a moment where I got an offer letter from an engineering college called JIT Noida, and their salary was not as much as Rishaw's salary, but close to it. You know, the highest salary offer I got from an engineering college. So that's when I thought I should leave the job. Out of my sheer instinct, I just resigned from DShaw. I did not discuss this too much with the family. And when I resigned, nobody liked the idea in my family. Everybody said, like, everybody felt like this guy's done something wrong. And many people felt like I'm being fired from DShaw. And I was asked by my relatives that you are telling us about some blog that you are writing, you're getting a lot of traffic, like, share us the link. I shared the link with them and they told me that, on this blog, we don't see any revenue coming up. You're just posting some questions, some answers. And I told them, they asked me this question like, how will you make money out of it? And I had no answer to it. I just resigned from there. And after resignation, my wife actually cried. And after 2 days of resignation, I came to know that we are going to be parent. So my wife actually cried that, what have you done in your life? And there was a moment when I actually started applying to software jobs again, because I thought that I've taken a wrong decision because I did not discuss with a lot of people. But I feel like very, very fortunate that I did not discuss with a lot of people. And I feel very, very fortunate that the companies where I applied after going for a teaching job, they rejected me. They thought that this guy is not stable. He's not going to a teaching job, then again trying to come back to a software job. And just to convey a message to you guys, I felt like I've done many wrong decisions in my life. One is going for IIT preparation because as the topper was going, and then going for the software job, even if I wanted to be a teacher. I would not say that I did not learn much from the D-Show job. There was a lot of learning. When I used to write articles on GeekforGeeks, the D-Show job helped me a lot because you get your code reviewed by the managers. You need to ensure that you are writing proper comments. You need to ensure that you are breaking the code into functions, giving proper variable names, functions names. That's what I learned there. I never had any interest in that fintech domain, and I used to get even not very good reviews as a software engineer. The management used to tell me You are not at the top, you're not at the bottom, you are an average employee. But when I went for a teaching job, I really got great reviews, guys. The HOD and everybody just liked it because students were liking it. So, I mean, in your life, after some time, maybe you realize, I realized after 6 months of D-Show job, that money does not matter that much. Although I would not say D-Show was a totally wrong decision. I learned how to write the quality code there.
Yeah. This story actually had everything, starting from the honeymoon period in a company, going to a decision you took, having a buyer's remorse, ending up then pursuing your passion, you getting good reviews. And lucky for us that you pursued your passion. We today have Geeks for Geeks to help us through our placements. Like most of us know about it and use it to prepare it today. So while talking about placements, I wanted to talk a little bit with you about, considering you have been in this industry, teaching industry and software industry and hiring industry for a while. What do you think would next 5 to 10 years of software industry and software hiring would look like? Do you think there would be a lot of changes, or would it be very similar to what's going on?
So, Jinesh, I remember in 2007, I was asked the same DS algo questions, and similar questions are asked even today. So, I don't see a much change happening. The few changes that I've seen is now the branch does not matter that much. Your college name does not matter that much. Although IITs and the college like DA-IICT, you guys get a lot of better opportunities than other colleges, but most of the hirings are shifting toward online. Even the Indian companies like Infosys, TCS, Wipro, they have stopped going to many colleges. They go to very few colleges now, and they hire through their online contests. And most of the companies are going in that direction. But one thing that has been there is companies still do ask DSA, and they have been asking this for many years. And a company like Google will first change, and Google still asks problem solving in the Kickstart exam, right? So other companies will take their own time to change. So I don't think it's going to change in the near future by the time you guys graduate, but might change. With the machine learning coming in, data science coming in, it might change in the maybe after 6 7 years, but not going to change while you graduate.
Yeah, that's so. There are two ways to look what you just said to us. One, it hasn't changed much, and the second key takeaway should be DSA and algorithms. Having a good grasp on it is very crucial in today's environment to get a job from hiring perspective. That does resonate a lot with me. Like considering recently switched jobs, DSA algo even for an experienced engineer mattered a lot. There were system design and other rounds, but this matters a lot. So I definitely agree to what you just said. Um, so also, like you were saying, that few years down the line things might change, but at least from one thing which I wanted to ask you and around about Geeks for Geeks is, so today, let's say, like we were talking about DS algorithms, right? There is a lot of topics at Geeks for Geeks for DS algorithms interview experiences. So I would want to get an inside picture of how these content came to be and how they are curated, how they were moderated before and how they are moderated today, so people can get to know what they are looking at.
Right. So this would be very helpful for entrepreneurship perspective, also those who want to build a content business. So I'll just quickly share how did we build this content company. So initially I started writing myself like any other blogger or YouTuber. And I used to publish a lot of content myself. And how did I get this content? When I was in IIT Roorkee, I got an opportunity to appear in a lot of interviews. And those questions were in different forums and people were giving solutions, but there was no place where they had a very written solutions. So that's how I got a market that this is where if I put the content, it will become popular. So this is how I started. I started publishing all the content which I learned in IIT Roorkee interview preparation. And after that, I was not getting much time in DE show. So I joined a teaching job where I was teaching the same thing. And when you teach, you actually learn a lot that what way people will understand a topic. Like when I used to go to the lectures, I used to prepare from MIT video lectures and IIT Delhi video lectures. And then I used to deliver the lecture. And many times the lecture used to go very well, but sometimes people were not able to get it. So I need to change my strategy. So this teaching part also helped me a lot to produce the quality content, the way I should convey the message. So this helped me. For a long time, I was publishing it myself. But guys, there are very few good things happen. And I just want to add this thing that the next generation is always better than the previous generation. I always believe it. And next generation, the generation after me, the engineers after me, they actually helped us a lot. There were many engineers who actually got benefited from Geeks for Geeks. They got the quality content there. So I started getting a lot of contribution. I just used to put a line that if you find that Geeks for Geeks is helping you, drop an email to contribute at the rate of geeksforgeeks.org with your content. And there were many students who just used to publish their questions in a way that this is the question which was asked to me in Microsoft interview. I gave this answer and I got selected. Right? Don't they just wanted to help the other students, and we were not paying anything at that time. So what I used to do was I used to take their content, and from my D-Show journey of writing the quality code, I used to spend a lot of time on that content. They were students, so they were writing some code with random variable names and the whole thing in one function. So I used to create functions, create variables, used to break into functions. Sometimes it used to take 2 3 hours, sometimes the whole day, and I used to publish it. But guys coming up with the perfect solution, that is what they were doing. They were also doing a lot of hard work in sending the perfect solution, which got accepted. And then I was doing some more hard work. So that's how we were able to get the best quality content. And the interview experience story is also interesting. This was not planned. I never thought that we'll be publishing some interview experiences on GeeksforGeeks. There was an IIT BHU student. He got placed in Amazon and he just sent an email that these are the rounds I had and these were the questions which were asked. You can publish it on Geeks and it will help others. And I thought this is a good idea. I can just publish this interview experience. I started publishing there and I just added one more line that if you also want to write your interview experience, then you can share. And that is how the content started building. So initially, for a long time, I was writing myself. Then people started sending emails. I used to spend a lot of time on refining the content, sometimes a day altogether to refine the content, sometimes 2 3 hours. There were some people who were sending the ready-made content. And then we built a contribute portal when we started having full-time employees where anybody could come and write the content. And then we built the business in a way that if you are an engineering student and if you are looking for an internship opportunity, you can come to our platform. You can write articles. Once your 2 articles are published, then we'll give you a work from home internship offer letter. And then we'll actually pay you also for every published article. And that is how we started getting more crowdsourced content. And I would like to thank the company Google, where Jinesh is working. This is the company that helped us actually. We were not having any client, not having any business model. This is a company that actually started giving us the ad revenue, right? And that grew with time. So when I got my first check, it was very less amount. And again, when I left my D-show job and came to teaching, everybody started asking question like, you got only this much amount, you spent so many years, how will you grow it? But when I started putting more content, more people started adding the content, this amount it started growing. And there came a day where my Google ad revenue became double than my salary. Now coming back to the content thing, so this is how the content started producing. And then we have now reviewers also, not from our company. These reviewers also crowdsource, they review the content. Our company right now, people just take a final look and then they publish it. So that's how we have built the content step by step. First me writing, then me reviewing, then team writing, then team reviewing, then reviewing also outsourced.
Yeah. So this actually shows how much Geeks for Geeks has matured over the last 13 and about 14 years, right? From going from one person to now having a team and so many articles. It also, you touched upon how the revenues and ad revenues increased. So it naturally brings me and a lot of audience also to this question. How, like, so today Geeks for Geeks is something we can call very successful, at least for a student who can aspire to build a business similar to that. How did your funding or revenue look like? What was the model, and how would you advise a student, so let's say someone starting out now, to maybe start as a side hustle or something? So yeah.
So, guys, see, for us, what worked was we were getting a lot of traffic from US, UK, and other developed countries. So, if you are generating revenue from ads and if you have audience from those countries, that actually pays you well. So, that actually worked for us. And if these, so our generation was mostly a blogging generation. This generation, then a YouTube generation came in. Now, a short generation is, coming in. So
TikTok Shorts.
TikTok short generation and Instagram reel generation. So in our generation, we were getting a lot of traffic from developed countries. That actually worked great for us. And I always believe that if you are into a content business, the tricks like a keyword, SEO, meta tags, and title, they don't matter much. Actually, as a company, if I am a company, Google, I would not allow these tricks to work. And Google also has matured its searching algorithm over the time, so that these tricks that people use don't work over the time. It's the quality of content that always works. If you put the quality content, it's going to work always. The algorithm, search algorithm, these tricks, they are going to change with time. So that has worked for us. Although I remember one thing that worked for us. I remember when we were initially putting the content, we were putting the links with some numbers, geeksforgeeks.org/1234 or something like this. I read somewhere that if you put a proper URL, which is having the same thing as title, that actually something I did as a SEO change, a major change myself when I was doing it as a part-time activity. And that is when I saw a lot of jump in the traffic. So this is one thing that worked for me. Apart from this, I'd never done myself any SEO technique. Although now we have a team, and these guys keep on, following the search algorithms that Google keeps on rolling out. Every now and then they follow and make the changes. But I never did personally anything like this, and Google started automatically showing us.
Yeah, this actually helps a lot. So one more follow up to that, natural follow up to that would be, what are your views on a bootstrapped company versus a funded company, and what would you prefer if you were starting out today?
So that's a very good question, Jinesh. So see, we are a bootstrapped company, and we are from day one bootstrapped. And I always like bootstrap company. I would always love to be a bootstrap company. Also, I'm not against any funding. Any investor approaches us, we do a meeting, we share our pitch deck, and if our visions are, because Lakshmi किसी को खराब नहीं लगता है अगर पैसा आ रहा है, and we are in a state where we would like to grow, because there was a moment when only Geeks for Geeks was there in the coding domain. Now there are a lot of funded companies also which have come up. So if any investor comes to us, we talk to that investor, and if our visions are aligned, we are open for the investment. But my experience with the investors have been like this. There was an investor who came to us, and he said that there is this business model. You remember this Lambda School, right? US based company Lambda School. So an investor approached us, and this Lambda School, what it does, it actually does income share agreement model, where being an engineering student or a working professional, you take their course, they don't charge you anything, and once you get a job, they get some percentage from your salary for some time, right? They don't initially charge anything. And Lambda School was a big success in US. So there was an investor who came to us and then said, we want to build a Lambda School in India. So, and they did multiple rounds with us. They asked us about revenue, traffic, and everything. We were thinking that they will invest in the idea that we right now have, that we'll get the content crowdsourced and make money from ads. But they were having this Lambda School in mind. So they thought, this is a guy who has built some company, and there is this idea, Lambda School. We want an experienced person, so let's use this guy and get this idea implemented. So out of my intuition, I just said that this idea would not work in India. And guys, I mean, I was very right. There were many companies who did ISA in India, and they all dropped. Many of them dropped it actually. And then there was an investor who came later. We have been meeting many investors, and there was an many times the investors want to acquire us. There have been many popular investors which have talked to me, and they just want to acquire us. And guys, I have taken 14 years to build this company, and I would never sell it. I can tell you, like, I would never sell it. I can get some percentage, low percentage of equity and get the investment. When you spend this much time and you achieve something, you really enjoy it. If you ask me, I was never the brightest kid or never the smartest. I just took a lot of time to improve myself. And that's what I always suggest to the people. Many of us, when we are an engineering student, we feel like, "Yeah, I am not the brightest." I was in an engineering college where the university top, the person who was the college topper, who was my roommate. And I used to feel very bad that this guy always gets 15, 20% more marks than me. And I never, imagine that I can get that percent, I can work that hard. But believe me, guys, if you take slightly longer time and work on something which you like, right, and work for a longer time, keep putting the hard work, you definitely get success, even if you're not the brightest, not the smartest. So that is work for me. And when you achieve something after putting in a lot of efforts, you would never like to sell it, and you would like to do it with a full passion because you achieved something which you never thought in your life that I'll go to that point. And this is what has happened with me. I never imagined I was searching for a 5,000 rupees per month job and never the brightest. So never thought that I'll reach that stage. And after 14 years of my hard work, I reached that state. So I totally enjoy it. I'm not feeling like I should become like Byju's or some other company. I'm enjoying where I am right now. And I am just improving myself day by day. Even when you prepare for interviews, many people leave and feel depressed. यार मेरा जो रूममेट है उसका 6 स्टार हो गया है यहाँ पर, या वो मास्टर बन गया है, ग्रांड मास्टर बन गया है. How would I survive? It's never like that, guys. Everybody has a journey, different journey. You just need to ensure that you are improving day by day. And as a product, as a company, I just need to improve that, ensure that our product is improving day by day. So we are totally enjoying our bootstrap journey. We have never taken any loan. We have never taken any funding. We have grown from one person and 3 interns to 300 people team now. And we are growing regularly. We grow at a 50% rate in terms of revenue every year. And we're totally enjoying it. Totally enjoying it. And I'll just add few more things. देखो, अगर आप एक bootstrapped company हो, it's very easy for you to take decisions. And Jinesh was also mentioning the same thing when we were having conversation, that if you're a bootstrap company, it's very easy. If you have an investor, it becomes very difficult to make a change. Because how investment happen, an investor will come to you, he'll ask you for a deck. You will share a deck. In the deck, you will show that if you give us $20 million, we'll reach the revenue from here to here. Now you have pitched this deck with the investor, you've taken the money. Now you and your whole team, they're chasing those numbers. And if tomorrow I go to a college and then a student tells me that there is this feature which is missing on Geeks for Geeks, and to build this feature, if I have to pivot, I can't do it, right? Because I've shown certain numbers to the investor and my team is already working on it. But if I'm a bootstrap company and if I come to DA-IICT and a student tells me that there is a feature on the other website, you should build it. I'll build it. I'll go to the office. I'll talk to everybody in the team, sales team, marketing team, dev team, design team, and let's build this feature. Let's work on it. Let's deprioritize our other tasks. That's the advantage you get as a bootstrap company. And guys, if you are a student and if you are at current stage and if you want to be an entrepreneur, you are even in a better stage than me. I am 41 years old now. I don't have that energy. Once you reach 40, na, you will feel that you don't have that much energy left, right? You can't work that much. Your body will start responding if you work more than the allowed time, right? The age that you are in right now, it's the prime age. And if you build a product, if you start working on a bootstrap company with the part-time activity with your college or with your job, once you do a job, it becomes very easy to make decisions. Even for me, it's a difficult thing to align everybody and change the product. I'll have to align everybody. I'll have to align designers, product managers, software developers, sales, marketing people. It's super difficult for an invested company or for a bigger company. Easier for me. But for you, if you are a student, if you are a community of students and you are 4 people, co-founders working on a small product, you can pivot every day. If you have 10 customers and the customer says that I want this feature, you guys can do 3-4 night outs and can make the change, because you are in your 20s, you are not in your 40s, right? And you're just 4 people, right? You don't have to align a lot of people. So many people who say that I'm a student, I don't have funding, it's not the right time. Guys, it's the best time to start a startup. And don't just look for the funding that once I get the money, then I'll basically start a startup. You can start now with your part-time, with the time that you have, whatever skills you have acquired, whatever passion you have. If you see a problem around you and you can use your passion to solve the problem, go for it. Go for it. Even if you want to do a job, do it part-time.
This actually resonates a lot. Maybe the opinion that Sandeep gave would be a little against the mainstream media, I'd say. Mainstream media is crazy about funding today, but I like the way he put in. So just to give a little context, a bootstrap company would be a company which is making its own revenue and reinvesting in itself rather than taking outside funding. Like, let's say if you are 3 guys, you are making 5,000 rupees, you reinvest that into getting your own servers or whatever to keep the company running. So that's what he has been talking about. And the point which I liked a lot, and I can't agree more, is the pivot that you can do. If you have an investor, you have promised a revenue growth, you are chasing the number, you are not chasing the success, let's say what your customers want. But when you are at a at a low level, starting out as a bootstrapped company, you can do what your customers really want. Like, let's say today you found out that most of your customers are using the product a wrong way, and now you just want to fix that. That might bring your revenue a little bit down. You can go ahead and do it. But when you are funded, you'll have to show those results. So yeah, I totally like this view at looking on startups. And yeah, I totally agree that college is a very good time to get started on it. So while we have been talking about it, it naturally begs me to this question. Like, your experience has been very insightful. So let's say, what would your advice be to a 21-year-old self today? Like, you already mentioned a little bit about starting a startup or doing very good at DSA. But let's say you were a 21-year-old, like most of the students sitting right here in your college, maybe in a second or a third year. What would your advice be to be successful in their career, whatever they plan to do?
So, guys, first thing that I did wrong was IIT preparation. I would like to change it. And second thing, I should not have spent 2.5 years in DE show. I should have left it earlier because I had a very strong conviction that I want to be a teacher. I started blog to fulfill my passion and to get out of that depression or frustration that I was in a fintech company. And if I had to grow in that company, I had to learn finances. That's how fintech companies are. Even if you are a software engineer, you need to learn a bit of finance. You need to understand the business so that you can grow into the company. And I was never interested into finances. I should have left it earlier. The teaching job also I should have left earlier. I should have started Geeks for Geeks much earlier. I would not say that joining D show was a completely wrong decision. If you work in a company, you actually learn a lot how people sitting in US are controlling here. How do the ticket systems work? How do they create that timelines and how the professionalism work? How do you set up how different teams work? How HR works? How sales marketing they work? But again, I mean, you can choose a startup than a well established company if you want to go on the path of being an entrepreneur like me. A startup will give you even a better idea. I was talking to an alumnus here who is coming from Misho, and I think he must have learned a lot more than a person who is working in a well established company, that how startups work, right? So join such a company if you want to go on an entrepreneur path. That's what I would have done, because if somebody is working close to the management, he knows that how the management is managing. And in a small team, you know everything, right? If you are a company of 100 200 people, you know almost everything, that how different teams are working. So that again is something I would have changed and I would have done in my life. And there are certain gyan type of decisions, suggestions that also I would like to give you. One thing is, I would have, controlled my anger at different places. I always say that being a young person, we find it difficult to control our anger. With age, it comes in automatically, and many people even don't have that with the age. But controlling your anger is a very 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 required thing if you want to be an entrepreneur, because whatever you say, once it goes out, right, you can't change it. And many great people left Geeks for Geeks, right, as a company, and I really regret it. I mean, I should have treated them in a better way, and I've learned it now, basically how to treat people in a better way and how to control your anger. That is one mistake I did. And the thing that has worked for me is the consistency. Whether you are prepared, and that I can assure you guys works for every successful person. I'm not super successful. I have taken 14 years to reach the state. Many people have reached at earlier stage than where I am. But whatever success I've got, it's because of consistency. I've been doing Geeks for Geeks for 14 years. And if you're, whether you're preparing for DSA or interview, or you are looking for entrepreneurship, you need to do it consistently for many many years, right? And that's how you reach that state. Some people might be very very fast and might reach early, but if you keep on doing, you will definitely reach there if you don't drop it. Don't look at the others, whether the person is getting 6-star rating or other person's company is growing faster than you. Just keep on improving your product and your self in the direction where you're working. You will definitely reach the success if you keep on doing it consistently for certain long time. I strongly believe in the theory of Forrest Gump, right? The person was very dumb, right? Not very smart, but he achieved almost everything. And that's true, actually. If you do something for a long, long time, if you keep doing it, you definitely achieve success in the domain.
Yeah, this the, all the bits of advice were very interesting to me. The consistency bit resonated a lot. So at like, I'll just share a small story about myself here. At times I struggle to stay motivated, but that's the thing. You don't have to stay motivated all the time. If you stick to your routine, if you stick to the consistent routine that you have built, a plan, it's sooner or later you will get to the point where you want to be, to a successful point. This applies, like Sandeep sir was saying, even for interview preparations, for DS algorithms preparations, or whatever. Like, motivation will be there. For the first few weeks, you will be super motivated. Motivation will wear out. But once you have built a consistent schedule and you know how to stick to what you want to do throughout the, like by sticking to your schedule or by following what your consistent behavior was, you definitely reach where you want to be. So yeah, I definitely, this is a very good advice, which I hope I would have gotten when I was in my university. So you guys are much luckier than me. Okay. So like, we are coming towards the end of the session, and like, I have been talking a lot. Sandeep sir have been talking a lot, but what actually I see a lot of you are here, and you guys have your own questions. So what we want to do is we'll open up for questions for Sandeep sir, whichever you have. We have volunteers here who will give you the mic. You guys can raise hand or something, and you can ask the question. How does it sound? A round of claps would be amazing.
Thank you.
Okay, so the icebreaker question. Who wants to go first? Okay, we have the first volunteer there for the icebreaker question.
What challenge did you to over the beginning of your journey?
What challenges I had to, right? So there are multiple incidents which happened, right? One thing is, I remember when I was working as a part-time activity, I was working in an engineering college as a teacher, and there was no team. And one day what happened was, somebody hacked the DNS servers of GeeksforGeeks, and I was using an Indian host company, and we were paying them to do everything, right? I was the only person, so we did not have a team. I did not know how servers work. I was paying them for everything. Somebody hacked DNS. And what happens in case of DNS, if you have longer cache time, right, you can't do anything. Your site is going to be down for that time because DNS is always going to be that server, and that server is hacked, right? Or maybe somebody changed the IP address in the DNS. So it was going to a page where advertisements were coming up, or some random advertisements were coming up. I started getting a lot of emails. I was taking a lecture in that college, and I started getting a lot of emails. So I had to go home, and what I did, I learned Amazon AWS was new at that time. I learned, and I kind of felt that I should be moving to AWS now, because these Indian managed servers were not doing good. So I learned everything, moved everything, and there were not much documentation at that time. It is about 2014 or 13 it happened. So there was not much documentation. I spent like 2 continuous days and nights and moved everything. And then I moved emails to Google, because emails were also hosted by that server. I learned about how to migrate the email, and then that was really bad time, because I built something for 6 7 years, and it was completely down. And this Indian company, they stopped picking up my call. They stopped responding to my emails, picking up my calls. And then I realized that this is the cache, right? DNS cache. It's not going to fix automatically. The one thing I'll have to do is I'll have to change the IP address. I'll have to change the content. Then it'll take its own time. That was the toughest time I remember. And apart from this, there have been many things. I mean, as a part of entrepreneurship journey, you get to see a lot of rejections, right? Lot of rejections appear. Like sometimes many people leave you, right? You don't want them to leave, they just leave you, and suddenly your burden goes up because there's a person who is managing a team of 25 30 people or 50 people. That person leaves, and you will have to manage everything. So those times keep on happening, and many times you start feeling like कि मैं सही कर रहा हूँ या नहीं कर रहा हूँ. But if you look at the overall picture, if I ever feel like that, am I going in the right direction? I always go this way, that overall picture of Geek Story is good. People are being helped. So there's nothing wrong. These small issues will keep on coming and going. Thank you.
Okay, we have someone in the back.
Evening, sir. My question is that in your college, hello, hello. Good evening, sir. So my question was that in our college academics, there are certain subjects designed which doesn't have that much relevance to our practical field, means the type of job we are going to do in our future. So does that college CGPA matter more? Like in service-based companies, we have a certain criteria about like 7.5 CGPA for applying. Does it matter much in other companies too? And also the second question I had that was, we are sitting in a premier institute, DA-IICT, which have a lot of good options for internships and placement. But if there's another person who is trying to get a internship or a placement at a premier FANG or say product based companies, so on what scale does it become difficult for a person to grab a off campus internship or placement compared to a non campus internship or placement? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So coming to the first question, guys, देखो, I have observed this industry from 2007 when I got an opportunity to appear in interviews in IIT Roorkee to 2022, and I clearly see that there is a change happening. अभी companies CGPA branch college इतना ज़्यादा नहीं देखते हैं, but it's still not reached perfection, right? It always goes slowly. And maybe when you guys will be in your 40s, you will see that CGPA is not going to matter anymore. Even the degree is not going to matter anymore, right? Google has already started doing it with Kickstart. So I strongly believe that if you compare with my times, CGPA does not matter that much now. But still, there might be companies who are looking at your CGPA, but not many companies as 2007 or 2008. So it's going in that direction. So again, I would say always give preference to DSLGO than CGPA and any other thing. But again, don't compromise too much on CGPA. Just maintain a decent CGPA. Also, coming to the other question about colleges where don't people don't get opportunities. So guys, we are in a very good era right now. There are lots of startups. There must be many startups started by your seniors, started by IITians, your school friends. And what happens is, when we are an engineering student, we many times when we enter into first year, we always believe like, okay, I'll go to Google, Amazon, Microsoft. See, there are a lot of companies. Those companies might not be paying that well. I always suggest to every other engineering student, whether it is from tier 3, tier 4, apply for internships from first year. Your senior might have started a company which might not be making revenue. Apply in that company also. Appear in the interview. Appear in as many interviews as you can, right? Appear in the interviews started by a senior in some other college or your batchmate in some other college, and you will get opportunities. They will offer you. Amazon, Microsoft, Google, they might not offer you. They'll have higher bars, but these companies might offer you, right? Maybe you get offers from 4 or 5 companies, right? And then HRs reject you, right? You can also reject. You can say that, okay, I have another offer, but so I don't want to join you. I'll join some other company. You can negotiate also once you get selected. And these companies also generate some decent revenue. So I would always say, don't look at the company's name. And many people, even in the tier 3, tier 4, they start preparing for Amazon. Look for the any company, look around for any company. The culture in India is super good now. There are many startups. Just apply everywhere, right? Appear in as many interviews as you can. And with more interviews, appearances, you also learn how to give an interview, and you learn that it's not just a question answer session. It's an interaction where you also ask some questions, you properly interact with the interviewer. And when you learn that, your chances of getting internship and placement become higher. So there are a lot of opportunities right now. There are websites like Internshala which post a lot of startup opportunities. So keep on applying everywhere, keep on appearing. Even if the company is not paying anything, paying 2,000 rupees per month, apply there, right? And reject it. If once you get the offer, look, ask the person that what all you are going to offer, what my role is going to be. If you don't like it, say no, no problem, right? But appear in a lot of interviews, and there the culture is really, really good now. Thank you.
Hello, sir. Hello. Hello,
Hello.
sir. My
Hello.
name is Parjanya Rajput. My question is that does idea matter in a startup? Like when you founded GFG, it was a unique idea, right? So do you believe that ideas matter?
Yeah, idea does matter up to some extent, but what matters most is execution. I've seen like many blogs which started like Geeks for Geeks. Even 2009 when I started, there were many companies who just started copying us in 2010, 11, right? But they're not there now. So execution also matters a lot, and I would take some more time to answer this question. What happens in India is many of us, when we are in a college like IIT or DA-IICT, we look at the people who are in Stanford or or Harvard, what they are doing, right? And we try to build the startups around the similar ideas. I find that approach flawed. I find that approach is not right. The people who are in tier 3, tier 4 college, if they want to be an entrepreneur, they look at the people in DA-IICT or IIT, that what they are doing, right? I feel like everybody has a lot of problems around himself or herself. आपके फैमिली में कोई बिजनेस होगा, आपके पापा कहीं जॉब करते होंगे, पेरेंट्स की जॉब करते होंगे, वहां पर कुछ प्रॉब्लम्स होंगे. So try to solve even a small problem. Many people go this way, that I'll build a large company. Try to solve a small problem. Geek Story started with a blog, right? And then iterate over it. Iterate over it. Make it usable by even 5, 10 people, even the family member who was facing the problem. And once that person start using it, as I said, pivot over it, iterate over it, and then you will never know when that 5 will become 50, and then 500, and then 5,000, right? So begin with a problem that you are very well aware of, not looking at what somebody else is doing. If I remember, I started GeeksforGeeks because I saw a problem in India. It was not a problem in US. Employability is not a problem in US. I was in IIT, I was in tier 3, tier 4 college, and GeeksforGeeks like kind of product might not work that well in US. So I saw a problem around me and I tried to solve it. And I always believe that there are a lot of problems in every domain. Even in interview preparation, GeeksforGeeks has solved a lot of problems. There might be a lot more problems that you guys may solve. Even in e-commerce, Amazon has solved a lot of problems. There might be a lot of problems which you face day to day, and you can solve it with your product, or we start with a small product, very, very small product. Thank you. Thank you.
हेलो सर सर आपका जब स्टार्टअप आया था ब्लॉगिंग में, तो वो बिफोर एडसेंस आया था, जब गूगल ने एडसेंस लॉन्च किया. अगर गूगल लॉन्च नहीं करता तो आप उसको कैसे
देखो यार, मुझे नहीं पता. मैंने जब स्टार्ट किया था मुझे तब भी नहीं पता था. आई ऑलवेज फील लाइक इफ यू आर सॉल्विंग पीपल्स प्रॉब्लम, if you're solving a problem, money will come automatically. People are consuming your product and they're appreciating it. And even if you look at the story of Google, right? For a long time, there is a book about Google. For a long time, they did not know how to generate revenue. And there was investors' pressure. There's a book around Google story, right? It's publicly available. And there was investors' pressure. How will you make money? They were solving a problem. So if you're solving a problem and if you have consumers who are using your product, money, you will figure out a way to make money. That automatically happens with time.
So how did you choose between fashion and paycheck?
That's actually very important. I would say when you are young, follow your passion. After a certain stage, when you build certain business, because the stage where I am in, I need to focus on money a lot because there are 300 people whom we need to pay salary, right? And we need to ensure that we have enough bank balance. So if we face any legal battle or any issue, we can handle it, right? So when you are in initial stages, you can focus more on your passion. And once you reach certain state, when you have built certain business, because you will have to survive and grow, then money starts mattering a lot, right? So I mean, you can balance it that way. But again, it's individual choice also, like what kind of person you are, how much risk taking abilities you have. Like I did not take much risk. I worked as a teacher and then did it part time. Some other person with the success of that traffic on GeeksWorks might have left it completely, might have taken a higher risk and might have been more successful than me. So it's again dependent upon you how much risk taker you are.
Hello. Thank you for giving this opportunity. Sir, how have you managed yourself when you were passing through rough times?
See, I always feel that is what I've learned also. I've made mistakes and I've learned whenever a problem comes in, don't respond to it immediately. Don't get started getting irritated with the people. Don't start, fighting with the people. Just sleep over it for a day or two and you will figure out a solution. You will figure out just be calm, right? Many people, when things start going wrong, there was a moment when, our revenues went very, very down and we were in a situation where I was monthly investing my own money into the company. So one approach could have been that I start fighting with the people who are taking higher salary and start telling them that we are going into the losses or leave. The other option it could be I just, did not fight with anybody. And if I was in my earlier stage, I would have fought. I had learned over the time. And then I just slept over it and then changed the approach, the way we were generating revenue, right? So, and then I got an idea that if I make these changes and I have enough this much enough money that I can invest my own money for 6 more months in the company and we can still survive with these many losses, right? And within the 6 months, we can fix. We know what we are doing wrong as a business. We are investing extra money here, not generating much revenue from here. We can put more ads. So I figured out a solution. I worked on the solution. It worked. So that's what I would suggest. Sleep over it, think over it, and within a day or two, if you think calmly, you will definitely get a solution. And discuss with the people around you. Don't fight with them. Tell them your problem. You know what happened when we were in the losses? I told every manager, companies generally don't do it. They don't tell people that we are going into the losses. I just told everybody that कि आपकी फैमिली में भी कभी पापा की सैलरी कम हो जाती है, घर की इनकम हो जाती है, तो हम क्या करते हैं? हम एसी कम चलाते हैं, अपने एक्सपेंसेस कम कर लेते हैं. I told every manager this is what we need to do right now. We need to just cut the expense and focus on the revenue, not focus too much on the growth. Right? So that's how I dealt with the finance problems.
Sir, actually a question from my side. As you said that you got an offer from Lambda School for investing into Geeks for Geeks, but you denied that offer. And previously you said that no one denies money. So how did you
So,
tackle that situation?
First of all, I would like to correct you here. There was an investor. There was a big investor. He wanted me to build something like Lambda School in India. It was not an offer from Lambda School. And I denied it because I wanted the investor to invest in the idea that we are working upon. I felt like the idea that where we are working upon, it's helping everybody. Students को internship में stipend भी मिल रहा है content लिखने से. They're able to pay their college. Many students were able to pay their college fees from the stipend that we were paying. And लोगों को free में content भी मिल रहा है. And we are profitable. So I told the investor that we are okay to take money, we are okay to lose our equity, but we don't want to start a new business like Lambda School. We want to use this money in our own existing business because we want to improve the product. We know what are the problems, the challenges that we are facing in the current product. We want to improve it with the money. But the investors had a very clear mind that they wanted to build Lambda School in India. So that's where it did not work.
Okay, guys. So 2 more questions we can take, and then we run out of time. I know you guys have a lot of questions. So last two.
Hello. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Hello.
So I have to ask, have you ever thought to give up on the idea and go back to the teaching field while doing this?
So there are always a day or two. There's always a day or two where you feel like very depressed. You don't feel motivated because something goes wrong. And what I do, I stop talking to the people in that case because I feel like if I talk, I might say something wrong. I might say something negative. And I just, as I said, I look at the overall vision and the talks that I do in these colleges and the way the students love us, the way you guys, when I entered into the hall and you were all standing, and that is the energy I always get back when I go to the office, right? And I tell people in my team, how much students respect us. Whatever problems we are facing, they are not of a big problem. If we look at the overall picture, every college student is using us. So that keeps me motivated, guys. That always keeps me motivated.
Hello. Sir, as you said that a college student has lots of opportunities. So how can we find our passion? That in what field we are interested?
सी कई बार ऐसा होता है कि देर आर वेरी फ्यू फॉर्चुनेट पीपल हु somehow फिगर आउट कि उन्हें क्या करना है. आई कुड फिगर आउट आई वांट टू बी टीचर एंड not every person can figure it out. So you can, and I always believe that you can learn a new skill also. It's just that your learning curve might be, a slightly larger if you are not sure whether you want to do it. But if you keep on doing something, I would again, you know, quote the Forrest Gump theory. If you keep on doing that thing, even if you are not sure this is your passion or not, you will definitely learn. And I've learned a lot of skills. Teaching was my passion. I could figure it out, fortunately. But public speaking, I never wanted to do, guys. I remember I never I studied in a government school जहाँ पे लड़कियां भी नहीं होती थी, हम सारे लड़के ही होते थे. तो I never actually went to a stage in my school, never went to a stage in my college, was very shy, right? And the first few talks that I did in colleges, they were very, very bad. Even if you see the recordings, some of them are available on YouTube. You will find that how is this guy speaking, right? So, but I learned this over the time. Now I've learned it. I've learned it. I feel like very improved myself. So there are certain things that you can improve if you are very convinced that this problem you can solve. Even if you don't have passion, you don't have that skill, you can learn that by giving it a lot of time.
Okay, considering you guys are so interested yet, we can take one more.
Hello, sir. My question is about when were you forming your team in the initial stages? So, what were you looking for while recruiting them? And is it better to have an MBA degree or is it better to have a person with an MBA degree in your team? Thank you, sir.
So, as a beginner entrepreneur, the biggest mistake I made was I had all the tech guys. I was a coder. I did not even know how sales work, how HR work. I was just a software developer in a company, then a teacher in a college. So what I did, I hired the top 3 coders from that college. I hired the people who had represented that college in ACM ICPC. And then for a long time, I just had the tech people, and we tech people were doing managing our social media handles. We were doing hiring. We were doing everything, and that was really a big mistake, guys. After a long time, I realized, and once I had that non-tech team, the sales guys, the marketing guys, the HR guys, that is when we saw the largest growth. So I strongly believe that having a mix of people, I think you guys might be aware. I was not aware of it when I started. Right, you guys are in a better environment now. Entrepreneurship has grown a lot. You guys might be knowing it better than me right now. So I did make this huge mistake. So when you're beginning, make sure that you have a non-tech person as well. It's very, very important, as you asked. Having an MBA guy is very, very important. That plays a very, very different role. Just having tech people is not a good idea, even at the initial stages.
On that note, I'd like to add something. So yeah, this is a very, very deep problem which you'll eventually face. So have be like my 2 cents would be have a diverse network. Like have friends, have know people who are not just into tech but are doing something other than tech. Maybe they are from same university or same school, but stay in touch, stay in that network, because having a good network always helps. So yeah.
I would also add one more thing to this answer. Guys, when you are beginning now, just convincing somebody to work for you is very important. You don't choose, right? If you get a person, you just say that, okay, work for me, please work for me, right? But once you grow, right, hiring bars grow with the company size, right? So now we become choosy. We have good revenues, we have good size, we become choosy, we take multiple rounds. But when I was building, I was like requesting people, join me, please. We don't have much money, but we can help you in learning and all. So that is also an approach. You can just convince the good people that are around you.
Uh, so at least from what I could see, you guys enjoyed the session. We are running out of time. I hope we have tried to answer a lot of your questions. So before closing, I'd like to just reiterate on a few things. Few key takeaways here were, like, there were a lot of key takeaways, but one of them which I felt personally resonate with me was the forest grump theory, which Sandeep brought up twice. Be consistent whatever you do. If you are preparing for interviews, if you are preparing for starting your own startup, be consistent. Motivation will come once things start rolling, but when you are getting into something new, be consistent. There were a lot more life advices from today's session, which I am very thankful about. So on that note, I'd also like to thank Sandeep for coming here. It was a real honor. Like, as an alum, I'm thinking on my, like, on my college's behalf to have you here. Your life lessons and your tips and so basically your story has been an inspiration. Plus, adding to that, we everyone know about Geeks for Geeks, and it has helped countless of us to get into jobs which maybe without Geeks for Geeks we might not have been well prepared for, maybe because of a barrier between a tier 1 college, a tier 2 college, or a tier 3 college. So that, and added to that, your life advices and advices today would definitely help a lot of us in our careers, whichever we pursue to choose. Maybe a teaching career, or maybe just a career like a startup, just like you, or maybe climbing up the corporate ladders like me. But yeah, so we are really honored to have you here, and it was a real pleasure to hear from all your experiences and learn from it. Thanks a lot for coming.
Thanks, Dinesh.
So, so as Jinesh sir already covered, like Geek for Geeks is a name that we all worship, like since we have started our journey in the tech field. And we have this small token of honor from DCI and i.Fest for Sandeep sir. Thank you so much, sir, for coming here and
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
giving us this wonderful talk session.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, guys, this is a big honor for me because you don't know how many students like me, strive to get admission in such a college. And being here in such a college and being a guy like Jinesh, such a humble person, it's a great, great honor for me. I visit a lot of colleges, but when you get something from DA-IICT, it matters a lot. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We are also grateful to Jinesh sir that he took off his valuable time and came here and held this talk session as a host. And we have a small token of love for him too.
Thank you, but you shouldn't have. I'm just an alum, just like you guys.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, everyone, for your valuable presence. And here we are about to end this session. So,
everyone is requested to hold your seat for now. Please, everyone, just hold your seats now, and we'll be leaving you soon. Just थोड़ी देर में सब लोग जा सकते हैं, बस थोड़ी देर के लिए बैठ जाओ.